JC here, and back with another action figure review. Today's review, we're going to take a look at the G.I. Joe Classified Alpine. Now, this is a figure, and this is actually a character that is probably in my top 10 of favorite G.I. Joe characters ever. And this was a character I was really looking forward to. Sorry about the lip smack there. This was a character I was really looking forward to. When I saw the promotional photos for it, I was kind of a little bit taken back because, I don't know, there was something off about the figure's face for some reason. It looked a little bit Bill Cosby-ish. And I don't know, I was like, maybe I'll just wait for a retro release for him. But I got him in hand. I ended up taking a risk, and, what was it? I think I got this actually from Big Bad Toy Store, and got him in hand, and I was like, well, let's just see how it is. Worst case scenario, if I don't like it, I can always sell it, and just, at least recoup the money that I spent on it and spend it on something else. But I got him on a package, started playing around with him, and I was actually really pleasantly surprised with this guy. He's actually a lot better than I thought he was going to be. He's got a ton of new stuff. Essentially, a lot of the body is new. New head, new weaponry too. He's got a whole bunch of signature weapons, which this is really nice. I think this is a really nice loadout. The only thing that I think he's really missing is a backpack. I think he should come with some sort of like small backpack or satchel or something to finish off the storage for his character. But even if that's, I would say even that's not a deal breaker. And if that is something that's high on your list as far as things that you don't like about the figure, I would say that's a very small nitpick. And with Gridiron Studios, with 3D printers being more available and customizers out there, I'm sure you guys can track down a backpack or use a backpack from somebody else in the Classifieds line. Hell, you could even use Falcon's backpack, remove the antenna, and you could go with that if you wanted to. But I think the face is not bad at all. I think it, it doesn't necessarily, I always feel like Alpine has a more like chiseled jawline, but then again, I mean, there's different interpretations for characters, and I guess this is the classified interpretation for him. I like the hair sculpt. The head looks pretty solid. The eyes aren't crooked or anything like that. There's no issues there with that. And I think they did an overall pretty good job when really taking a look at the overall figure as a whole. There's a lot of storage on him, which I didn't think there was going to be. Some storage that was actually pretty surprising how much stuff you could actually keep on him. He's got these little loops on the back of him, and you can store a bunch of stuff. You can store his climbing gear. I'm not sure the technical term for these, pikes or whatever they would be called. I probably should have looked it up before I started the review, but oh well, no big deal there. I think it's pretty cool that you can, like I said, you can remove a whole bunch of stuff off of him. You can take a look at the t-shirt. It says Idaho on there. My man likes his potatoes, I guess. But he does have pretty good range of motion, especially for a figure that does have a pretty burly jacket on here. But he still can utilize a lot of that, the butterfly joint that is in there. So that's pretty nice on its own. I really like the new harness, this climbing harness with all of these little carabiners and bungees kind of attached here. He also has a rope guide, a rope satchel right here, I guess if you want to call it that, rope bag, whatever you want to call that, for climbing. You just pull that out of your back and you have rope, which is pretty cool. Like I said, I like these. This is really nice and cool. I think it fits the character well. He can hold them in his hands pretty decently, so there's no issues there. I took a lot of photos outside of him, so you probably saw that in the intro for this video. But I think it looks pretty good, man. I think they did a pretty good job with good old Alpine here. And he does finish off the trio of Quick Kick, Bazooka, and Alpine. So it's pretty cool. The three buddies, you know. So I think that works well. He does have also a grapple with a rope attached around. So you can loosen this up and you can actually have him hooked onto something and have him string down. It's about this long. I want to say the rope is maybe about this long, maybe a little bit longer, maybe about that long. So it's pretty decent there. We do have also another, we have a grapple rifle, which this is reused from the Alley Viper. So, you know, you can remove this section right here. You can hook onto a rope, hook a rope through here or loop a rope through that little hole right there. And you could actually have it displayed that way if you wanted to. And there's another loop right there which attaches to the rifle. So you could have him holding onto the rifle and you could have the string as long as you want, which is probably what I'll do is I'll have a string attached and I'll have one really, really long for this because this is a projectile weapon, which is pretty cool. Here's the hook. That's just Dusty saying hi. And then here is the rifle. Now, it is very AK-ish. I don't really have too much of an issue with that. I know a lot of people, purists, will be like, oh, yeah, U.S. soldier would never. Well, this isn't a regular U.S. soldier. It's G.I. Joe, so it doesn't really bother me. I get it. No U.S. soldier would use an AK or be outfitted with an AK, but I think this actually does fit the aesthetic nicely for Alpine. I think this is a pretty nice sculpt with it too. It's a nice smaller rifle, which is pretty cool. And it definitely is an AK. You can see the safety right here for the AK. It's a longer safety. Sergeant Slaughter came with one. Also came with an AK, more of a traditional AK-47. The hat looks pretty cool. It's got his I think that's his rank on his hat, which is pretty cool. And then here's the back of the hat. You can put the back, you can put his hat backwards. It looks like backwards if you wanted to. It is a little poofy on his head, which I almost kind of wish he came with separate head sculpts with the hat on and the hat off. That would have been nice. But, it's okay. He also does come with two different sets of goggles. For some reason, I might have misplaced it. Let me double check my bag. I'm pretty sure that's what he came with. He might have actually just came with one set of goggles. I might be confusing him with Crazy Legs. But I think he came with two. I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I usually have him set up with the goggles on, and you can just fit those right over his head like so. Kind of work those down closer towards the ears right there, and then fit the hat on. And I think it really does complete that look for him. I think it looks pretty darn good, man. I think they did a really good job with this figure. I like the sculpt, the new sculpt for the arms. He does have his signature pads for, Alpine, that look that he always had for the kind of his jacket. Yeah, I think this looks really, really good. I would love a secondary version of him like the FSS Club did with kind of like him in his shorts and stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. But he does come with also his signature rope, which is always around his person, bandolier style. As far as storage goes, like I said, you can kind of just fix it or fix stuff on him like so, like that. And then you can have the hook. Like I said, I had the hook kind of through these two loops right here. And then it does seat very securely on him. And then as far as the rifle goes, it does fit into his hand like you saw in the beginning of the video very nicely. I actually glued my magazine in because it kept falling out. It was very, very loose. So just want to forewarn fellow collectors out there just to be kind of mindful of that. But he can hold everything It's very nice. I think it's a very nice setup. I really, 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 really like this figure more than I thought I was going to. As far as his articulation does go, his head can swivel side to side. I mean, he can do a full 360, but it's not necessary. Just so you know, he can do a full 360 though. His head can look up, not that well. They really need to do something about the ability to look up. We could really use, I know a lot of people like ball peg joints, but these are really poorly done ball peg joints. So that's kind of a for me. Hasbro's not really innovated anything with neck joints in a very, 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 very long time. So not a big fan of how the ball peg joints are set up on these figures, or most of Hasbro figures. He can't really, look down all that well either. We do have some jive turkeys though. We got some turkeys. He can tilt a little bit side to side, but it's very, very limited. I would expect, especially a guy that's going to be climbing and such, to be able to look up, It's almost like you really got to use his ab crunch to have him look up, but then it looks really horribly unnatural. So please, Hasbro, do better in the future with these like shitty ball peg joints. I can't stand them. The arms also kind of frozen on mine, but he can do that essentially. This arm, very, very frozen. I did heat him up, and it's just a lot of resistance right there. But there you go. He can T-pose perfectly fine there. His arms can go down. He does have that butterfly joint. He does have a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow, which it gets about there. And then we do have the swivel at the wrist, and we do have a lateral hinge joint on this side and a vertical hinge joint on that side. So he is opposites of each side. He does have a traditional ab crunch. So they're going back to the ab crunch with some characters. This might be the upper torso from, the torso piece from Outback, which I think that's what it is because I'm staring at Outback right now, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. So there is some reuse there. That's probably why he has this old school ab crunch, but he can also swivel at the waist as well. He does have the drop down hips, and then he can kick his leg forward like so, and then kick his leg back. He does have the upper thigh swivel, a double jointed knee, which is nice. He does have a boot swivel, a pointy toey, pointy heel, an ankle pivot, 2 peg holes, and a partridge in a pear tree. Okay, as far as his size comparisons do go, we've got him here with the Jada Toys Invisible Man, one of my favorite figures. And then we also have him with a Hasbro Black Series Captain Rex. Okay, next up, we've got him with 2 larger characters. On the right, we've got the NECA Retro Terminator figure, T800. And then on the left, we've got the Super 7 Radioactive Rage Toxie. All right, next up, we've got another Jada Toys action figure in Guile from the Street Fighter line. And then on the left, we've got a Marvel Legends Vulcan. All right, next up, we've got a WWE figure. He's an Elite figure of Triple H on the left. And then on the right, we've got a Action Force Blowback action figure. All right, next up, we've got Obligatory Duke on the right. So that's how he stacks up with other Classifieds action figures. And then we also have Skids from Transformers. And lastly, this is how he stacks up with his fellow brethren, his buddies, his friendos. There's Bazooka on the right, and then Quick Kick on the left. And I think they look great together. Okay, so as far as my final thoughts, as you can see there, I'm going to give this a 2 thumbs up. Definitely a full recommendation here. I think all of the weaponry makes sense for him. I think all of the accessories make sense for him. Even with the reuse of the Alley Viper grapple rifle, I think it's perfectly fine. I think it fits the character. It makes sense for him. I like all of the new stuff on him, including the new body parts and everything. The head sculpt, like I said, it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not the best head sculpt I've ever seen, but I think it's still pretty solid. And he poses well. I have a lot of fun, taking photos of him outside and Brought him on my camping trip with me, and it was a lot of fun to kind of shoot some photos outside with him. Articulation, range of motion, it's, range of motion could be a little bit better in that, especially in that neck and head area. They really got to go back and rework that this year, I hope. But I like the sculpt, the details, especially for that harness piece on his waist. And I think it really does fit this figure very well. I would definitely expect a retro release out of him. I don't think a lot of this newly tooled parts aren't going to be used for anybody else. I could also see it being used for maybe possibly the Rock Viper down the road, which is another big favorite of mine as far as army builders go. And yeah, like I said, there's not really much else to say about this guy. I would definitely pick him up. Full recommendation here, 2 thumbs up. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you do want to become a channel member, the link is in the description box below. And if you want to join up and become a Jive Turkey, that'd be great. There are different tiers now. I have a 99-cent tier and a higher tier as well. So if you guys want to check that out, please do that. There are some nice perks, and you also get some custom badges and emojis and stuff like that. So be sure to check that out if you want to. If not, please do subscribe if you haven't. And that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys on the flip side.